Jimmy Gilligan, welcome back.
It's great to be back, John. Really lovely to be back. I'm just got a smile on my face when I come into work every day, and it's lovely to see people I know, like yourself, and obviously working with Richard every day. It's a dream, really.
Scorer of our first ever European goal. You've been away, you've been here in a coaching role before, so what have you found when you come back here? Unbelievable
facilities. The academy's geared up to be a Cat 1 academy. In terms of facilities, I'll be really honest. Got some real good people, some people who want to work really hard to help the development of the players, which is what we want to do. And obviously, being alongside Richard every day we smile, we laugh, we have fun. You know, we know what our job is, we know what we've got to try and do, but it's a great environment to be in, and I think if you create and work in a good environment, positivity oozes out of the place, really.
What sort of are you bringing back to the club from roles that you've been in? You've worked at other clubs, Nottingham Forest, etc. You've worked at the FA. What sort of experiences have you bringing back with you to now implement here at Watford?
Yeah, as you say, John, I've had a number of roles. You know, I've been coaching now 27 years, so I'm a qualified coach educator. I hold a UEFA Pro licence. I hold a level 4 at Talent ID and Recruitment. I've worked for England under 18s, so I'd like to think around coach development of coaches, but also around coach development of young players.
You mentioned sort of working with Richard. So how do you sort of dovetail? Where's the demarcation in terms of your responsibilities? His.
So, Jono told me everything on the grass when I came here, and I've seen a little bit of grass, but there's so much to do in terms of. Because we're a Cat 2 club, we have rules and regulations like you'd expect to stick to and adhere to, so making sure we're writing policies, procedures, academy performance plans, documents like that. I, along with the coaching staff, since I've been in, we've written a coaching syllabus. So what does a coaching syllabus look like? We work in 6 phases of the game for 6-week blocks. So right now, for the people out there that understand it, we're working in the build the attack phase. So that'll work for 6 weeks, and then we'll move on to another phase. And all the academy teams will work on that phase through that 6-week block. So for me, it's really important to make sure that we're sticking and working together and going in the same direction.
Does the involvement with first team and communication with first team coaching staff, is that geared at all towards what the first team are doing? Or
it's really interesting, John, because I've worked under a number of managers. You know, at Forest I worked under 4 or 5 managers, I think, and they all had their different ways of playing. I would always want to be respectful to any first team manager, head coach, because if they want to set some parameters for the 18s and 23s, for sure, that they want the teams to play like that, I think we have an obligation and a duty to do that, because at the end of the day, we're here to try and service the first team. If they play for Watford, brilliant. If they become out that tunnel and the crowd are singing they're one of our own, that's my utopia. Having said that, lower down the chain, I think it's our right and our duty to develop players in all ways. I would expect the coaches that sort of work under me to give the lads a menu of stuff. Obviously we want to work around our syllabus, but what else can we put on the menu that are maybe little side dishes and add-ons to what we're doing?
We've seen already in the pre-season period a number of the sort of under 23 lads or sort of young pros going out on loan. How key is that to their development?
Very rarely are you going to get a Wayne Rooney at 16 that's ready for a first team, but we might at some point in our life, so we need to be ready for that. But that experience of going out and being in a men's environment, being around a men's changing room, understanding what a men's environment looks like, and actually playing with senior men who are not afraid to open their mouths and not afraid to get at you, I think that really is important. Equally, we've got to be right with where we send these players, because there are some places that you go to and the loan might not be right. So we really do need to try and mix it so that it's a good marriage, really, for want of a word.
What's the sort of argument between results versus development?
I think if you asked any coach or any manager or anyone that's in a sporting context, do they want to win? The answer's going to be yes. Absolutely going to be yes. But not to the detriment and development. So if we want to win and we go crash and bang really early, really quickly, turn people around, we get one or two of our players who are really quick on the end of things, and we score 1 or 2 and win 2-0. What about the people in the middle of the pitch? What about them getting a touch on the ball? What about them opening up and honing their skills within a game, within an environment, within a dueling situation, 1v1?
What are the biggest challenges for an academy, for this academy?
The biggest challenge for this academy is that we are in a geographical area where there are lots and lots of other clubs within that hour and a half to an hour's travelling distance. So we are always going to be competing. We have to, and we're just starting to do it now a bit better, John, profile our players and what we want for this football club. What do we want going forward? Is it another Ismaïla Sarr? Is it a Troy Deeney? But what do we want in terms of in the academy? So what can we bring to them that also attracts other clubs to look at our players and say, gee, what, really like him, we'll keep an eye on him. We don't want to lose our best players, of course we don't. But I actually like the fact that other clubs want to take our players, and that's how it should be. Then that tells me that we're doing our job right. If we never had anyone knocking our door in the next couple of years and no one wants to come in and take our players, I'd seriously have to look at what we're doing and maybe look to change the model.
I think anybody watching this will see your passion for this role coming through loud and clear. Final one, what excites you most about this role and coming back here?
The club is so dear to me. I go back to being a 14-year-old kid that, well, I was 13 years and so many months because I couldn't sign. And I remember walking into Garston Leisure Centre with Dave Butler and Tom Wally and doing my first ever session in there, and then meeting the likes of Pat Malloy, who people may or may not remember, great people, you know, Roy Clare. And this club is for me, it's drenched in brilliant people with really good development of young players. I know we can't talk always about the old days, but there was a conveyor belt of players coming through. Would I want that to happen? That would be my, I've said utopia is he's one of our own. I want to make more than he's one of our own. I want them to be coming out year on year on year. That might be a 3-year plan, John, that might be a 5-year plan, might be a 10-year plan. But equally, in that 10-year plan of one of our own, I want to be out there sprinkled around the professional industry is players that have come out of the Watford Academy. And that really would be, you know, I'd look back then and think, we've all done a good job.
Click below to subscribe.